Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jerry, and today we have my Week 9 picks, where I'm going to give you all of my picks for every game this week. Straight up money line against the spread, as well as do score predictions for every single game. And then I'll go over my record for the season so far at the end. Not so great last week, and I unfortunately wasn't able to get the review video out this week. Had some internet issues, so I do have a power rankings video ready as well. Just wanted to make sure I got the picks video up before the Thursday night game. It's probably going to be a round kickoff, but this is being recorded before. So let's get right into it with the Thursday night game that's going to happen very shortly. Jets-Texans, that's correct. The Jets are favored in this one. It is in New York, in MetLife, but they're saying they think the Texans are going to win seemingly because there's a lot of injuries over there. There's a lot of injuries on the Jets side, too. Dealing with offensive line injuries, it's going to be difficult for their offensive line. I believe got some tackle injuries, as well as Elijah Vera Tucker is out. And so with the Texans, they have Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson are going to be coming at them. Will Anderson towards the top of the league in sacks so far this year. So he's going to be able to get after Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has been getting rid of the football very quickly. It's also ended up in the opponent's hands very often. So I would recommend the Texans defense if you're playing fantasy football. And I think the Texans will win this one. I think the Jets will find ways to put up points. I think they're going to need to get the ball going on the ground first. They're going to need to get Breece Hall going on some quick passes, maybe Braylon Allen for some short yards situations. But I think the Texans end up winning this one and covering what I thought. I mean, you'd think -2.5 for the Texans, of course, dealing with a couple injuries, specifically, Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins being the big ones. But everybody thinks CJ Stroud is great and can do it with anybody. So I guess we'll find out if he can do that here. But the Texans are going to have Joe Mixon, who the Jets, I think, will struggle to stop. So expect Joe Mixon to get a lot of carries in this game too. But I'm taking the Texans 27-24. Next, we have Bills-Dolphins. I think obviously Tua gets back. The offense looks a lot better. They look like they're able to do things right, still find a way to lose to the Cardinals last week. And the Bills have just been blowing out teams and have looked like a lot more complete football team, even playing really good defense last week against the Seahawks. So I think with all that being said, I think the Bills will win again. I think the Dolphins are going to be able to take better advantage of the Bills defense than the Seahawks were last week. Seahawks struggled pretty bad last week against the Bills. So I think with Dolphins trying to get back on their feet, recovering from a really shitty loss, I think they're going to be able to stay in this game. But the Bills have been a great football team so far this year, and I think that will continue, especially as Josh Allen, every week he has with Amari Cooper, going to be a little bit better, hopefully being able to get Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, all the weapons over there involved. So I'm taking the Bills 31, Dolphins 24. Bills covering that spread, of course. Next, we have Ravens-Broncos. This one, to me, it's like the 8.5 spread is just too large, especially because the Broncos have the better defense this year and their offense has started to get rolling. So, yes, the Ravens offense has been very difficult to stop, but the Browns showed that it can be done, and then the Browns beat them last week. So the fact that the Ravens are favored by so much, I'm not sure what I missed that's causing that. But while we are getting some massive wins here, anywho, Ravens, I think they will win the game. But I think this is easily a game that the Broncos could win. So that's why I have them covering. And like I said, I wouldn't be opposed to even them getting the win in this one with how well they've been playing, again, on defense, as well as, their offense starting to get rolling. I think if the Broncos have the ability to slow down the Ravens offense, I think they would be the favorite, in my opinion. So 8.5 is way too many. I think the Broncos cover, but the Ravens win 30-27. Next, we have the Browns and the Chargers. Now, this one was a tough one for me, and clearly the books agree with +1.5 to the Browns. Kind of a tough one to judge because the Chargers have done well, but they've played some not as good teams as of recent weeks. And the Browns, on the other hand, looked like absolute dog shit most of the year. Get Nick Chubb back, Jameis Winston comes in, and they're able to beat the Ravens last week. So if they can do that, why can't they beat the Chargers? So it seems odd at home that the Browns are, not favored in this one, especially after just beating the Ravens. But I think if the Browns can get after, if they can shut down the run game of the Chargers with J.K. Dobbins, and then, limit Herbert, maybe force a couple turnovers, or even just keep the Chargers out of the end zone, which has worked in past weeks. If you keep the Chargers out of the end zone, I believe they had 5 field goals one week and then ended up losing the game because they couldn't get the end zone. And if that continues to be the case, I think the Browns win this one 23-20. And then next we have Panthers Saints. This game's going to fucking stink. I don't know what you would have to look forward to. A bunch of injuries on the Saints. Panthers just got rid of Deontay Johnson. They don't know who their quarterback is. The only upside you'd really have is Chuba Hubbard for the Panthers. So I think the Saints win. But I think both teams just stink so much that it'll probably be a close game. And it'll kind of end up, this is oddly similar score to the Bears-Commanders last week where, both teams kind of looked like dog shit throughout most of the game. And then just one team ended up, pulling off the victory, that being the Commanders. So I think in this week, the Panthers and the Saints, I think it's going to be a dog shit game, but I think the Saints are going to win 17-14 with those Panthers covering. A very large 7-point spread at home. I understand the Panthers don't really have much going for them, but 7 points still seem like a lot when the Saints also don't have much going for them. So I'm taking the Saints to win, Panthers to cover. Next we have Bengals Raiders. This is another one where Raiders probably looking for a get-right game. I don't know if the Bengals is going to be the one to do it. I don't really see the upside for the Raiders, so I think 7.5 is pretty fair, especially within recent weeks. The Bengals offense getting better, so I think the Bengals take this one down over the Raiders, and unfortunately the Raiders just keep stinking, and the Bengals win 27-17, covering that 7.5 point spread. A lot of larger spreads this week, but this one is not. The Giants and the Commanders, this one I think is going to be really close. I've talked about it pretty much every week. The Giants usually hold teams to around 20 points. Obviously, they do that in their game against the Eagles, but the Eagles put up 28 and they only put up 3. I think the Giants offense can be good and has found ways to stay in games. And I think this is going to be the same. I think the Giants have probably a better defense than the Commanders, but the Giants are also a bit of a liability on offense. Obviously, Tyrone Tracy's been getting going, and that's made their offense look better. But I still don't have a lot of faith in the Giants. So I have the Commanders winning this one, but I have the Giants defense holding them back a little bit, not performing as well. And I think Daniel Jones and the Giants will be able to put up some points this week. So I think they come close to covering here at home, but I think the Commanders ultimately take this one 24-20. Next, we have the Falcons Cowboys. This is my lock here. I think Dak Prescott is going to get some time to throw this week. The Falcons only have 6 sacks on the entire season. Yeah, it's week 9. They only have 6 sacks. So there's single players. We just talked about the Giants. Dexter Lawrence has 9 sacks right now. And so he has 3 more than the entire Falcons team. And I think with the Falcons not being able to get to the passer, I think you're going to have opportunities for Dak, if he needs to dump it off to Rico Dowdle or, whoever he wants to, in the run game or, in the tight end room. Ferguson, obviously, be another good one. Or I think he's going to be able to get CeeDee Lamb going with a lack of pressure. I think it'll make it very easy for both teams like to put up points. So I think this will be a shootout. But I think the Cowboys, looking for a get-right game, ultimately get this one and win 31-27 over the Falcons. And then obviously covering the spread, because if Cowboys aren't favored, I think 3 points, that's an interesting one. Might be betting that one. But that's my lock this week. So I got the Cowboys 31, Falcons 27. Next, we have the Titans Patriots. Is another tough one, just because I think the Patriots with Drake May, I think they win this one, especially if they can get the run game going early on. The Titans showed that their defense is pretty good, but it's fallen off in these past weeks. And obviously, we have the Lions just smack the shit out of them. So them also looking for a get-right game and just a win in general. But I think you saw flashes of what the Titans can do, getting 118 yards to Calvin Ridley in the first quarter. So I think there's upside there with the Titans, and that's why I think they can win this game, especially with Jacoby Brissett out. He doesn't really offer much of a mobile threat, whereas Drake May has. And although Drake May still has a lot of things that he needs to work on, I think he puts him in a better position to win games. He's just injured, unfortunately. So he's questionable to play. He might play. I think even if it's an injured Drake May or it's a fully healthy Jacoby Brissett, I think the Titans able to take this one down, finally get the win they've been looking for, and they win 20-17. And then obviously Patriots covering that spread, because there's another one where I think, maybe Drake May is healthy. Maybe the Titans still look like complete dog shit and the Patriots get kind of a miraculous win like they did week 1. So I'm taking Patriots to cover, but I got the Titans winning this one, money line. Next we have Cardinals Bears. I don't have a lot of faith in the Cardinals, although they beat the Dolphins, a fairly healthy Dolphins team last week. I think the Bears defense is going to be able to shut down Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson. And I don't think that although the Bears have not looked great on offense really at all, aside from like 2 games this year. I think this is another opportunity for Caleb Williams to have a good game. And I think, Cardinals, I think they'll be able to put up some points, but the Bears are still the only team to not allow a team to 21 points this year. So I think that trend will continue with, obviously Cardinals offense getting better. I think the Cardinals probably watched a lot of tape from the Commanders game and saw that Jaden Daniels was able to run really well. So I think I think, Bears are going to have to be better on that this week. Can't speak at all. But I think the Cardinals will be able to put up some points, but I don't think they're going to reach that 21 yet. Although, having James Conner being a hard runner, you have Kyler Murray, who's very difficult to tackle and can run around everywhere and is very quick, so he can do a little bit of what Jaden Daniels was doing last week. The Bears proved to be really good in the red zone, and I think although their DB room is a little injured, I think they can still do enough to lock down the Cardinals, and I think the Bears win this one 27-16. Obviously going into Arizona only favored by 1.5 points. So I'm taking the Bears in that one. 27-16. Next we have Eagles Jaguars. This is just like another one where 7.5 is way too many. The Eagles have looked good these past couple weeks, but the Jaguars have looked a little better, starting to get healthier. Evan Ingram, having great weeks back to back. Beautiful catch this past week. And Brian Thomas Jr. been very good. I don't think they gave the ball to Tank Bigsby as much as they should have last week, but I think he's a weapon, as well as, if Etienne is healthy. He hasn't had a great year, but I think he can be another dynamic player in that offense. And I think it allows the Jaguars to put up points. I don't think they're going to win, because I think the Eagles, again, I think they're even getting better this year, had some struggles early on, but I think finally starting to put it together, and I think they do win. But Eagles, their offense hasn't really been as good as we expected so far. So that's why I only have them getting 21. I think the Jaguars able to keep up but not win the game, especially when you get 7.5. We get a whole touchdown. I could see why you would think that the Eagles would win by more, but I've got them winning 21-17. Obviously, Jaguars covering, Eagles taking home the win. And then next we have Packers-Lions. I got the Packers winning this one, which is probably the upset of the week. Obviously, the Lions have been on a roll, but they haven't played a defense like the Packers, as of recently. And I think the Packers have a really good defense so far this year. And that defense has helped them keep close in the games, even when Jordan Love is turning the ball over. I think the Packers are really going to have to shut down Sonic and Knuckles, or Monty and Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield, because when they get rolling, it makes it very easy for Jared Goff, and he can have these perfect games and these ridiculous stat lines that are just like perfect completion percentages and whatnot. And it's really because of how well their run game is. So I think that also is a big nod to the offensive line. Having one of the best offensive lines in the league obviously helps for the Lions. So I think the Packers can do it, though. I think if there was going to be an upset, the Lions have kind of been on their high horse, looking for a game to humble them. I think it could be good for the Lions, especially with a lot of divisional games coming up here. They go, oh shit, we lost one. Now we got to fucking beat the shit out of everybody else. And they probably could do that. So I have the Packers winning. Don't feel great about it, but this is one of my bigger upsets of the week, with the Packers winning 31-28. Again, not very confident. Definitely an upset, but we'll see what happens. Next, we have the Seahawks-Rams. Again, we talked about the Seahawks and that is in the next game. Didn't mean to do that. Seahawks-Rams, Seahawks 20, Rams 27. I think the Seahawks are able to put up a little bit more points than last week. Rams showed that when they're healthy on offense, they can be pretty good. Unfortunately, Puka Nacua, I just saw he's dealing with an injury, so I'm not sure, what his workload is going to be in this game, and I think he had a big effect on the game. So I honestly, I saw that after I made this, so there is a chance. I mean, that definitely hurts my chances here. I still think the Rams, they looked like a great football team last week against Minnesota, who had a great defense so far this year. So I think they played well. Rams are looking to take over their pretty sorry division so far. They're only, game or two out. So I think obviously in this, this divisional game here, I think opportunity for the Rams to take one, and I think they will. So I have them winning 27-20 over the Seahawks, and obviously covering the 1.5 point spread. Next, we have Vikings-Colts Sunday Night Football. I originally had the Colts winning this one because I think the Joe Flacco Colts are different, and I think obviously the Vikings have kind of fallen off, but they're looking for a get-right game. They're going to be at home, and it just seemed right to have them win. I think the Colts can cover, though. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think I don't really like the Colts defense. I don't think it's very good, but I think the Vikings defense has also kind of fallen off a little bit. And Joe Flacco does have the best passer rating in the league since he started, passing again last year. So I think that will help keep them in the game. I think the Vikings ultimately win 31-28, with obviously the Colts covering that 5.5 point spread. And then Monday night, I've got Chiefs Buccaneers. I think I know the Buccaneers are dealing with a lot of injuries and they're having struggles there, but the Chiefs, aside from pretty much last week, have played very close to other teams. So I think 8.5 is way too many. So I think the Chiefs win 24-21, but the Buccaneers are able to do enough to cover that massive spread. So I think it's a close one. I don't think the Buccaneers defense is really that great either. But Chiefs dealing with injuries too. Obviously, Rashee Rice out for the season. Same thing with Pacheco. That's old news, but just more to say, they have Kareem Hunt and now they have DeAndre Hopkins. Kareem Hunt's been very good for him. DeAndre Hopkins hasn't done much yet, but the Buccaneers showed that they could, make progress with Cade Otton and then just Rachaad White, and Bucky Irvin running the football. So I think the Buccaneers keep it close, but the Chiefs win 24-21. And then moving on to my record so far this year, 81-41 money line. So that's just decent, I think. I'm now behind the better rushing team record. This is okay. We can come back, but only 9-6 last week, so a bit of a rough week. And then even worse, 6-9 money line, 6-9 against the spread. So now 62-60, getting close to even. Would like to not be even. Would like to stay above even. So let me know what you think of my picks down below. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.